We're back with another episode. Big day.
Pretty big.
Pretty big. The boys got promoted at jiu-jitsu today. Woo! Okay, so we were gonna record last night and I knew that you guys were getting promoted. So I wanted to wait so we could talk about it. Because otherwise it would have been a whole week.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Me and Zain got promoted together.
That's so cute. I've known for like over a month and it's, I'm not good at keeping secrets.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard. But yeah, I'm relieved that it finally happened so I don't have to have this pressure on me.
Well, I'm happy you're relieved. Yeah, so Zain got promoted first. He was the first one there's 3 promotions. Zain got it first. And I knew that when they were doing promotions, I knew that you'd be promoted because it's like insane that you were a blue belt. But then when I got promoted after you, I was like, oh man, Zane's so much more well versed than me.
I hate when you say that.
But then Jason made a good point because I actually said that to Jason. I was like, well, you guys have different skill sets,
Yeah, there's different types of purple belts,
Yeah. But no, it's crazy because I'm old as fuck. I do like so many things aside from jiu-jitsu, like other things, but I never think like, oh, I want to get promoted. I never even think about that. But then when it happens, like you really do get really happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. You realize that it's kind of a big deal. Like, I don't know why, because all the time I'm like, I don't care about belts. Nobody cares about belts. But then when it happens, you feel like really good about it.
I think too, the fact that there's only 5 belts in jiu-jitsu.
It's so infrequent.
It's so infrequent. So you do all this work for years and years. And like you said, I think most people are like, I don't care about belts. Most people that are trained legit and are legit good don't care about belts. But yeah, when you do get one, you're like really, really happy. And it's crazy. You're like, we feel like a little kid.
Yeah. Because I have had like a unique jiu-jitsu journey, I should say. Because the first time I walked into a jiu-jitsu gym was when I was like trying to fight. I was coaching wrestling at the University of Pennsylvania. Then I took a fight like on a couple weeks notice. I didn't even watch MMA, but I was like, well, these guys aren't good at wrestling, so I'll fuck them up. I thought wrestling was like the greatest thing ever. Like, no, if you're good at wrestling, you're good at fighting. That's what I always thought. But
and there's more truth to that, especially at
back
that time.
then, there was a bit more truth to that. But now I definitely don't think that at all. But then I was like, well, I should learn a little jiu-jitsu. I didn't even know what it was, but I went to a gym in Philadelphia called Balance Jiu-Jitsu. And the first day I went there, whenever you're a wrestler, and at the time I was a pretty accomplished wrestler and still like, young and pretty good. Right away, like people want to test themselves against you. They want to go with a good wrestler. So I went in and like, there would be like black belts, like the instructor was like one of the first people I ever went with. His name's Rick Meglaris, and he's incredible. Like really, really incredible jiu-jitsu. But I was like, this skinny guy, I'll fuck this guy up. He didn't even wrestle. And he like armbarred me in like 2 seconds. And he I couldn't even go with him. I was just submit. And then I was like, wow, this is crazy. I can't believe this. There's something better than wrestling. Then I trained.
But did you think it was just him or you knew that the whole sport?
Well, no, because then the next go, I went with like Tim Carpenter. And he did the exact same thing.
All right. Yeah.
And then there was a kid named Anton Berzin, and he did the same thing. And I was like, fuck, wrestling. I thought wrestling was it. Then I was like, am I going to win this fight?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, in a match, I'll be able to punch, so it'll be different. But, and I won the fight, but I didn't do enough jiu-jitsu. I didn't realize it was a big deal. So I was just like anti-jiu-jitsu, like wrestling. And I did that for, sporadically. Then I stopped fighting, and I really didn't train jiu-jitsu until I went to Henzo's. Then I started training at Henzo's.
So when you were fighting and you went to jiu-jitsu class, you were just kind of going live. You weren't learning any moves, drilling.
Like, I've always been around really good people. Like, even when I was fighting, I was like Marco Perazzo and Rick Meglaris, Tim Carpenter. They were all really good, but I didn't like
embrace
sign
it.
up for the classes and pay for the classes and really like learn, like be a real student. I was just like, oh, there's a good wrestler here today. Go with him. And I'd try not to get submitted. I'd stay in close guard and just try
Right.
not to get submitted.
Open mat style.
Yes. But then I went to John's and I started learning with Donaher. And felt like I was getting pretty good. And then I kind of stopped when they left for COVID for like 2 years. But then since I've been back with Jason for a few years, like it's incredible. I've had so many good coaches, and Jason is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
He's so good. I've learned more from Jason, I think, than I have anyone else, which I probably have been more consistent with Jason, but anything that I do jiu-jitsu wise, basically I've learned from Jason. And I've been with, very unique, because I've been with the best the sport has to offer. Gordon and John and Jason, I've been around the very, very best. And
I think the consistency of it is too. And when we would train at Henzo's, because you're wrestling so good, you kind of got thrown in the mix where you would always train with Gordon.
Yeah.
And, Gordon, Herod, they always wanted to go with you because, getting ready for ADCC, they wanted to, go with you for wrestling. So you never really got to you were learning jujitsu, but with going, and then your live goes were against really high level people. So you never really got that, the class atmosphere where you could go with some people that were your level technically or lower.
Yeah. That's the thing, that you do have to go to the regular classes where there's there's blue belts and purple belts that you could go with and do really well. Because if you go with Jake Shields and Gordon Ryan and Gary Tonin every round, you're not going to develop anything. But I think that even at Vanguard with Jason, there's not a lot of easy goes.
No,
not at all.
Because what's the rule? You have to be a blue belt to take that class?
Yeah.
And then most people aren't blue belts, right? It seems.
No, I don't think there's a very small amount of blue belts. And mostly all the blue belts are pretty
They're
good.
legit.
They know what they're doing. Even if you get take their back or get them in mount, they know how to defend things correctly.
Right.
At the very least. So if you make one small mistake, it's fuck, I gotta do that whole thing over again, and it gets annoying.
Yeah. It's crazy though, because you do have to have that spread of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's such an important thing to understand, that it's not always the best to go with the best guy in the room. But sometimes you have to be disciplined with that. Don't you think? Sometimes you want to be challenge yourself and go with all the good guys, but that's not really how you get better. You have to spread it out a little bit.
Well, I don't have a choice most of the time.
I feel like you don't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I kind of just get asked, and I was like, well.
Yeah, and you don't want to say no.
No, I can't say no.
Yeah.
You're kind of lucky because you're a bigger guy. So there's you kind of have to go with a lot of the bigger guys, which forces you to go with all different levels.
Yeah.
But where Zain, you're kind of in the middle for weight. So you can go with bigger guys and lighter guys. So all of the high level guys, they want to go with you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of how your situation is similar to you when you were at Henzo's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of, it's good, but
it's good for when I'm there, but I do make sure to take days off from Vanguard and go other places.
Right.
Yeah, that's smart.
And it's good too, because I think at where we train at Vanguard, it's everyone trains super consistent, and the way Jason teaches is it's not just, oh, today we're doing this move, today the next day we're doing this move.
He stays with something for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it really feels like, if we work on something for kind of a month, I could ask anyone. Not Jason, I could ask anyone in the training room questions about it, because they all been learning it and they've been trying it going live. So I feel like everyone's kind of on the same page with getting better, not just showing up, doing a move, and then going live.
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten a lot better over the last 8 months, I'd say, or maybe, about 8 months. And I think that it's because I now have things I want to get good at getting the hooks in when I get someone's back, because I was always very good at getting to the back, and then I couldn't get the hooks in. Now I've been trying so hard to develop that, and I've gotten a little better. And I always start on bottom, and there's things that I've gotten better at, but you have to have a plan. I don't think you could just go in and focus on just everything.
Well, you
can
say,
I want to get good at this, and then you're pretty good at that. Then have another thing. I think you have to, I've been trying so hard to get good at the back, and I'm not great at it yet, but you have to have something in mind.
I agree. I think lately I've been trying not to I'm trying to get better at like submission defense. And so I'm like just putting I'm like
Kinda
giving people
sucks.
my arm, you know,
Really?
and like sometimes I get tapped and like I get mad, but it's like if I don't put myself there, I'm not gonna get better at it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
I
That's a
don't do
sucky
that.
thing
I don't do that because my like arms, like shoulders and stuff are so tight. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I'll just break my arm.
Well, then you just look at Jason and you're like, you can put him in anything and he just gets out.
Yeah, he
and it's
does.
like,
Yeah.
I want to be like that. You
Yeah.
know?
Because then people like stop going for it.
You could take some serious risks if you don't have to worry about getting submitted, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's like Jason's entire game. He just takes giant risks and it always pays
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
So were you surprised?
Me?
Yeah.
I like put it in my head that like I was just gonna be a blue belt forever.
Uh-huh.
So I was just like I like saw the purple belts and like part of me was like maybe, but for the most part it was mostly just me thinking it would be somebody else. Because if it was me, it would be like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, when I'm a purple belt, like I'm gonna be so much different than I am now.
And you're like, wait.
Yeah, you're not,
Yeah.
but
It's today. Fuck.
it does make you happy that when it happens. I always have said that I wish I could come up with like some methodology of having some type of belt system for
Mhm.
wrestling.
Mm.
I
I've
agree.
always wanted to do that because I think it's important. I think it's a good way to gauge things. But I think with wrestling, there's so much of it that could be like if you're really strong or really fast or
Mhm.
you know explosive, like you could get really far and
Yeah.
get good. And then it's like, what do you give? Why do you get a belt? Is it
Mhm.
because some technical proficiency or success? Right?
I feel like belts should just be like. I think success is like one thing if you go to compete, but I mean with wrestling you have to compete, so
You
it's
have
different.
to. Right.
It's not like
different.
jiu-jitsu.
There's no hobbyists.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't like. I mean, maybe you can go like to the New York Athletic Club and wrestle there, but like I don't really know.
Not really. There's because when I was coaching at college, there'd be guys in the room. I'm thinking of one guy in particular. And if you watched him drill, you'd be like, oh, he's a national champion or he's an All-American. He's great. And if you asked him to show you something, he's like technically superior to almost everyone in the room, like perfect everything. But I think that his college record was 1-25.
Wow.
He never won.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
He was like second string, but like you'd go to opens or third string, he'd go to open tournaments, and
Wow.
his record, he won one match
Wow.
in his entire career. But
In the room,
if you looked at him, you'd be like, in the belt system, in jiu-jitsu, you'd be like, oh, he knows everything. He's
Yeah.
good. He could be a good coach. I think he does coach high school now. But
That was a lot of my coaches coming up when I was wrestling, just like guys who weren't like studs in college, but like wrestled in college.
yeah, and they knew like new moves and stuff.
They knew moves. They weren't like complete wrestlers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So in jiu-jitsu, I think those guys get promoted, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're like technically like, oh, I could show everything, I could do everything, but you get fucked up.
Well, you don't
could
have
still
to
get
ever compete to get
promoted.
promoted.
Right,
You could be a
right.
black belt and never compete.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's the big difference with wrestling.
think it's
Because then
just-
there's some people in wrestling, you ask them to take a shot and they can't even do it. They can't do anything that looks right, but they're just super funky or super strong and they have tremendous success.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu's, I think, puts a lot more emphasis on
Mhm.
technique because technique is superior to almost any physicality,
Right.
you know?
Well, a college wrestler, if you take like a college wrestler, like an average one, like it could probably give most black belts a very hard time. You know what I mean?
I disagree with that.
Well, you're around like the best black belts in the world, no?
Yeah,
So
that's
it's a
fair.
little bit.
You don't even
true.
know what like a regular black belt's like.
Yeah, not super.
A regular
Yeah.
black belt's like a purple belt, like that you're around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
A regular black belt, like some of
Maybe.
some of these regular black belts that you see, like probably are like your definition of like an average like blue purple. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like a hobbyist, like blue purple. Because most people that you can get black belts just through time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most
right.
most
Yeah.
gyms are like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I think with wrestling you'd have to have a component like you have to be able to run a 6-minute mile or do 100 push-ups. There'd have to be some component of physicality
Mm-hmm.
because the technique isn't expansive enough like jiu-jitsu is. I think that you'd have to incorporate other things.
Well, there's like just not as many different moves, right?
Yeah, but it would be cool to have it just because,
It makes
it helps you with your training.
And it makes it fun too for people that aren't competitive because
Right.
all the, that's why some people that don't understand it will see someone else be like, how are they a brown belt? I'm only a blue belt. And like, I fucked them up. It's like, yeah, but that person also is like a full-time job and has like 2
Right.
kids and does never competed in anything in their entire life. For them, they know a lot of moves. They come and train every day. So that's like the cool thing about jiu-jitsu is that, if someone comes in, they're not going to be compared to all of us who all pretty much compete. Well, me and Zain do, but you know what I mean? You have,
Sure.
no, you don't have to be an athlete to get, if you go to jiu-jitsu and you go consistently, you can become a black belt. You don't have to be
Right.
like a certain physicality to get one.
How do you feel about putting on a belt, getting promoted with a belt, and but not wearing a gi? Some people think it's like the weirdest thing ever. I've heard
think
people
if
really
you're-
criticize that.
I mean, I think if you're like, if it's for promotion, it's fine.
It's just symbolic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's just a symbol. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I'm not going to wear that when I roll around no gi.
Well, of course, you wouldn't wear a belt in
Yeah,
no-gi.
but like, that's
Of
like,
course.
Imagine you come in tomorrow to training with your belt on.
that would be so
Like,
funny.
what?
But some people think that that's like inappropriate. Like you only get promoted with the gi.
Those people are losers and haters.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Get over it.
Because like if I went to a gi class, you'd wear a purple belt, but I don't even know how to tie it.
Yeah.
Me too.
And
Yeah,
they'd be
I
like, you
literally
don't
don't
even
know
know
how
how
to
to
tie
tie it. It's like,
Yeah.
shut up.
And then maybe
Whatever, I'll
maybe in a
still
gi I
submit you.
wouldn't maybe in a gi I wouldn't do that good.
No,
I think
hun-
against most people I could probably figure it out.
Yeah.
I think there should be like an average. You should know some things in the gi at least. You know what I mean? You
I don't
have to
know
be, like,
anything.
amazing,
I don't know anything.
I don't think so.
but
It's
like
just
you could like survive in the gi. You know what I mean? Like if you put a gi on,
Probably.
you'd probably still fuck up a good amount of people.
Yeah. But it's interesting because
I just don't like when like people, and I trained in the gi a lot before, and just people that are like, oh, well, in the gi, blah, 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 they act like the gi is so superior. It's just different.
it's different.
You know what I mean? Like people that are doing no gi aren't like, oh no, no gi's better. It's just who cares? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Sound like whiny.
Well, like I don't think that like I don't even think of wrestling different from no-gi jiu-jitsu. I don't think of jiu-jitsu and wrestling. I just consider everything grappling.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to be good at wrestling and you have to be good at jiu-jitsu. And that one put those together and it's grappling. And that's what I think
Right.
that I do. I have proficiency in both.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's, if you want to get good at something, you have to think of it as just grappling.
Yeah.
You have to know a little judo. You have to know
I think it's weird
takedowns.
too when people that do jujitsu think of wrestling as like, oh, I'm working on my wrestling. I'm like, well, shouldn't you be
No.
doing that? That's just part of
It's
jujitsu
just part
now,
of jiu-jitsu.
you know?
Yes.
Like they're like, oh, I'm really gonna like what? That's just the same thing.
Yes.
To me,
100%.
wrestling isn't any different than guard, passing, turtle,
Right.
sweeps. It's
Getting
just
off the bottom.
it's the same thing. I think it's slowly starting to like with the popularity of ADCC. I think that's eventually going to become the norm, but it's still a little different now.
Yeah, I think so too.
I feel like it just became the norm for all of us like so quickly.
Yeah.
I've been like that for a while, actually. Like, I've just thought of it as, because wrestling without jujitsu is like worthless in
Mhm.
terms of fighting, I think. Or, yeah, and then jujitsu, though, if you can't take someone down, you can't pull guard in a
Mhm.
fight,
I
right?
agree.
So you need both, and then
In
it's
like a
just
fight,
grappling.
MMA or ADCC, you're saying.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think wrestling and jiu-jitsu is harder?
What do you mean? Like,
Just
is
because
wrestling
of
harder?
all the like other factors that are involved with it now, like
Harder than what?
Hard. What are you asking?
like let's say like not I'm not saying like NCAA like champions, but I'm saying like you take two people, right? Like you have like make them like do like a wrestling match, and now that you make them like do like an IBJJF match from the feet where they like can't pull guard. Like
Right.
I feel like on the way down there's so many more factors with jiu-jitsu. Like you get put in submission, or like somebody
Right. Oh, of
can,
course. Yeah.
can like pull guard on the way down and use it to sweep, and come back up. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think that wrestling, the thing that gives an advantage to like MMA fighters is they're like, oh, they're wrestlers. It's not that they know how to wrestle, because like a good jiu-jitsu guy, like Jacare, he never wrestled, but no wrestlers like fucking him up,
Damien,
right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Maya, people like that, they never wrestled, but they're really accomplished grapplers. They don't distinguish between the two. But the reason wrestlers have success more than other sports, I think, is because wrestlers compete more than any other sport.
Mm-hmm.
You compete every week. Like Wednesday's a dual meet, Saturday's a tournament.
That's huge.
Your entire life. So you've had 1,000 weigh-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, like, the first time they make weight is their first fight.
Yeah.
Right. So if you weigh in every week, you know how to lose weight. You know how to put weight back on. Like, that is where wrestling has a little bit of a boost.
I think it has a mental toughness advantage.
Mental toughness, but the actual sport,
yeah,
the skills that you learn, if you don't have jiu-jitsu, wrestling doesn't matter, in my opinion. Some level of jiu-jitsu. People are like, well, look at Kamaru Usman and Colby. Those guys are black belts in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and they
Like
have
Kamaru Usman
good
is a black
striking.
belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and they're pretty accomplished, right? Like,
Right.
They're pretty good at striking. So it's like, yeah.
Wrestling's definitely a much tougher sport because I
The
feel
grind is tougher. Yeah.
I feel like it's more like because during a season, like everyone's injured.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to see like how tough are you, like how many injuries can you sustain and still succeed.
Yeah, part of me, I agree with that. Like the attrition of it is difficult, but like when we were watching matches, we've watched matches. The fact that there's like injury time, like if you jam a finger, you stop and like, oh,
That's
I gotta fix my
insane to
finger.
me.
And you could like, rub your finger and you get like 2 minutes off and then start back up. Where
That's
in a fight,
so
if you're like, oh, my
crazy.
elbow, the fight's over. It's a TKO.
Yeah.
Or in jiu-jitsu, if you're like, oh, my arm, it's a verbal tap.
Yeah.
Like,
And you
that's
can
it.
call injury time whenever.
In wrestling, you could be on your back, about to get pinned, and yell injury time, and they stop it, and the guy might get a point, I think, but you could call injury time for any reason. That to me really waters wrestling down. And I never thought about that until the first time I watched wrestling with you. You were like, these guys are pussies.
I'm like,
it was like Kyle Dake and Jordan Burroughs or something.
Not that they're, but I was like, but the thing is, they're fine because they're like, they stop for 2 minutes and then they're like, okay, go. And then they're like, wrestling each other so hard. I'm like, oh, so it's like soccer. Cause that's the biggest,
little bit. Yeah.
The biggest criticism on soccer is that they complain about the injuries and it's not really, I'm like, well, wrestling does that every single match.
Not every match, but
A
the fact
lot.
that rule exists.
Most matches that I've watched, there's injury time.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a rare thing to happen. If you watch 5 matches, there's going to be injury times.
Yeah.
Unless there's like a pin.
Yeah, I'd like to get rid of the injury time, and then I'd like to add, I always say this, all submissions are legal in wrestling. All submissions are legal, but the pin still ends the match. If you can hold someone on your back, it ends the match. So you can't like lay on your back and throw up triangles.
Yeah.
But then you'd have a perfect sport, in my opinion.
That would be fun.
Scholastic wrestling, all submissions legal, but a pin still ends it. So you can't lay on your back.
The pin still ends it.
Pin still ends it.
So,
but pin is flat on your back, both shoulder blades. There's not a lot of submissions that you do. Really, that you're flat on your back.
So like side control, basically.
Yeah.
That would end the match.
Yeah.
What about guard?
Well, guard, I mean, what guard? Like if you're laying flat on your
close
back.
guard, your back.
Yeah, I guess you're kind of flat. But yeah, so no close
But
guard.
anyone like holding close guard for more than a couple of seconds, like probably isn't doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
You
I
know
just
what I
think
mean?
of like most like girl jiu-jitsu matches are closed guard and they go for armbar and triangles. But actually not really at the higher level anymore. More so like
Yeah, I feel like
Over.
most submissions come from like open guard or like top,
yeah.
right? Like entering the legs is very popular or taking the back.
Mm-hmm.
Most submissions don't happen off your back. Do you think they do? Like flat on your back?
Flat on your back?
No.
Like you
I
don't
don't-
see a lot of like closed guard triangles or arm bars anymore.
No,
do
I
you?
mean maybe
Mm.
at like the higher weight classes where the skill difference isn't like as big. Like
Yeah.
But like I think in general it's like mostly from scrambles.
I think if you look at statistically, I think the most common, I think it's leg locks are the most common submission still, and then rear naked choke. I think I've seen that.
I think you might be right. I think it was either
Yeah.
it was more so or it was about equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So either of those are not, they would be fine for my sport.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that was for promotions.
was
UFC
so
fights.
cute.
UFC fights this weekend. Some really good ones. It was so nice that they were finally back.
Yeah. I feel like the
Um,
card could have been shit and everyone still would have been happy just because it was 4 weeks off.
Yeah, I just love watching fights.
Yeah.
But there's like 5 fights that kind of stood out to me. One of them was on the undercard. It was I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I apologize in advance. But Basharat versus Mendocina. Basharat is a Afghanistan fighter. He's from Afghanistan, and he trains with our good friend Jake Shields, and he's undefeated now, 14-0, lots of finishes. But this Mendocina, who he fought, was really good on the Dana White Contender Series. He was also undefeated. I think he had all stoppages, but really, really impressive Brazilian fighter. He trains with Charles Oliveira. But Basharat looked amazing, I thought.
Yeah, really good.
His striking was amazing, and then his grappling was sick too.
Yeah.
He looked really, really good. He was passing and stuffing takedowns and scrambling. But after the fight, he asked for a ranked opponent, and I think that he'll probably get
I
one.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, but 14-0. I think he's on a 4 or 5 fight win streak in the UFC. But he's somebody, like I always say, I like to discover someone. He's somebody who's gonna do really well, I think.
Yeah, like 2 more fights, everyone's gonna kind of know him.
I think so. Yeah.
Right now, he's still a little under the radar, just
Yeah. But no, it was fun to watch. Then the next fight was Usman Nurmagomedov versus Barcelos, and he's just incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he should fight for the belt next.
He's like Islam Makhachev, like
Yeah, kind of like the best guy.
Feels
but
like the same thing. Like he's gonna be good, and probably no one wants to fight him.
yeah.
But
So he's mostly a grappler, like really good grappling. But he didn't even attempt a clinch, a takedown, nothing. He just did like amazing kicks and then finished him with like a short left hand, put him out cold, like one punch knockout. But it was kind of like, I think his grappling is like, very similar to Khabib's. It's Khabib's cousin. They're very, very high level like grappling and very good control submissions. But on his feet, he looked like Zabit.
yeah,
Like the other Russians. Like there's some Russians that are just grapplers.
more of like a karate, taekwondo type of striking.
Yeah, Usman was like you said, he was kicking with both legs, like high kicking with the front leg, high kicking with the back leg, like, equal power in both hands, switching his stance, like amazing. But it's interesting when someone with that level of grappling also has high level striking because it's so unusual. But Zabit was like that.
I feel like
he only
you're
had a few
seeing
fights,
that
but
more with like the Russian fighters where like a couple years ago they were mostly just grapplers with kind of awkward striking, and now
Yeah.
like, they kind of have like really good at both.
yeah, I think he'll get a pretty high ranked opponent next, and then I could see him probably, fighting for the belt within 2023, I would say.
Yeah. Well, the only
I
thing is they
think
don't
so,
fight very
yeah.
often.
No, they don't.
Russians don't fight. They fight like twice a year. They always take off during Ramadan, which is I would
Right.
ask Zain which months those are, but he probably doesn't even know.
I'm the fake. I'm gonna say this right now. Never ask me any questions about Islam. I'm a faker Muslim than Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Stop.
I
He's
swear.
converted.
Well, but no, I'm saying he's probably more Muslim than I am.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Did you see when he was walking out of the court, the picture of him? He was holding a Quran.
Good.
Yeah,
He loves it.
he's
That's
touched
great.
it more than I have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We should read the Quran.
Would you want to read it together?
It's in English?
Together.
There's an English
Of course,
translation.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
we
read
could
it.
read it together.
Yeah.
Do they have
I
it on
wonder if they
Audible?
have it on tape, book or
Audible.
Audible. I would love to read it.
We can listen to it on our commutes to work, and we can talk about it when we see each other.
Yeah, I'd love to.
It'd be like a nice little
Like a book
prayer
club.
group.
Yeah,
book
I would
club.
love that.
Do you know they have Bible study? What is it called?
Quran.
Quran
Yeah.
study.
Yeah, I would love to read
You
it.
guys could do that before we record our episodes.
I seriously might do that.
You definitely will too.
Yeah, I probably will.
And you're gonna do that, and then you're gonna talk to me about it. You're gonna make me read it.
No,
Imagine
women aren't allowed to
Caitlyn
read.
starts wearing a
Women aren't allowed to read.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
We're gonna get canceled.
Yeah, so Usman did really good. The next fight, Raquel Pennington versus Vieira, Ketlin Vieira.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been impressed with Ketlin Vieira. I always think she's really good.
I always was, and I think she was kind of like I was like, she's scary, but I feel like she kind of took it back a notch after she got knocked out by Aldana.
Yeah.
I think that since then she looked tough in this fight, and she's still really, I'm not saying she's not good, but I think there's a little bit of inconsistency in hers, whereas before that I was like, oh my god, like she could knock out Amanda Nunes, and
Yeah.
but after that I feel like there's a little bit
Aldana kind of did slow things up.
yeah, because even when she got knocked out by Aldana, I was like, yeah, but I still want to see her go against Amanda Nunes. Like who she got caught, and then it was like, some of her fights were a little more. She's just so big and strong.
But Raquel Pennington, she's been in the UFC for 10 years.
Since it started.
I think 10 years, they said. And she's someone who, I think the first half of her career was kind of like mixed results. But the last like two or 3 years, she's on a 5-fight win streak. Beat a lot of good people.
She's her whole career, she's only fought the top.
Yeah, and she's like down to fight anyone, but her striking looked amazing. Her boxing looked great. She, has good cardio. She's fast.
She's strong.
Yeah, she keeps improving. After a 10-year career is super impressive, but
Yeah,
I think that she will definitely get a title shot, right? I mean, unless they rematch.
Yeah,
which
that's the
they
only
might.
thing.
Amanda and what's her name? Juliana Pena.
If they do,
But even if they do rematch that, I would think the winner would get
right,
Raquel Pennington.
Mhm.
I don't think there's anyone else for her to have to beat.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because she's now beaten Aspen Ladd, Holly Holm, and
Caitlin Vieira.
Ketlin Vieira.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
yeah, she's impressive. I like her, and she's really nice too. I always
Yeah, I was happy she got
I've
that
always
one.
liked watching her fight and stuff, and I saw her this week, and I was talking to her, and it's kind of crazy. So her and Tisha Torres are married, and Tisha's pregnant. So they did, like, she told me like all of it, and it's just like so crazy in the past year. Like while in the middle of each fight,
Wow.
in the middle of her fight, Raquel Pennington did the egg retrieval. So she's like, did all the hormones, did all that. That's like no joke to do that. It's not just like, oh, go in for a little procedure. It's like pretty invasive. So she did that, and then they used her eggs in Tisha and did that. And both of them, it's crazy because like both of them are, top
high level,
high level in their, in their divisions. And then so now Tisha's pregnant, and she said, I talked to both of them this week, and they're really excited, and they're Tisha's planning on getting back to fighting after she has her kid.
Yeah, good for them. That's
which is
that's
interesting because she's like, yeah, I'm really Tisha is like used to train in American Top Team, so was good friends with Amanda Nunes and Nina,
right.
and so she's like, yeah, I talked to Nina a lot about like, having a kid and fighting or whatever, and they were like good friends, and then it's like, oh, she's probably, but that's just how it is.
Yeah,
in the
just
game.
how it is.
There's mutual respect.
Her getting a title fight, that'll be great.
Yeah,
good payday, good opportunity. That's great. Then we had Ige, Dan Ige versus Jackson, and that looked to me like a horrible mismatch.
It looked like upsetting. Like I almost like, and I'm a Dan Ige fan, but I felt bad. It was almost like hard to watch.
It was a big mismatch.
Yeah,
like that just goes to show the guy he fought was on a 4-fight win streak, so he's winning in the UFC. But the level, and Ige's like on the fringe top 10 type guy.
Yeah.
Once you get to that top 10, it's like that's a different sport, different division. That the separation is just crazy. Once you get to that top 10, the levels, I'm always fascinated with that.
I always like watching Dan Ige's fights.
Oh my God.
They're all super entertaining.
He hits so hard. He's like super disciplined. Then he took the guy down. They're like, I was supposed to be a good grappler, but Ige looked great.
He didn't
good to see him win.
He wasn't in any trouble in this fight, but even in some of his fights, he'll get hit hard, and he does still stay disciplined, and
he does
stays in there. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's a very disciplined fighter, but he's great. It was fun to watch him get a good win. Then the main event, we had Strickland and Imanov. What'd you think?
I mean, I'm not like, I hate criticizing fights because they're boring. My thing is, I don't know. Sean Strickland's just kind of like gives me the ick.
Yeah, I could see that. I think he's kind of entertaining. And a lot of people criticize his style. I don't. And the reason I don't is because I like when people find like creative ways to win.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Ryan Hall, Ryan Hall's not a super skilled MMA fighter, but he'll like roll into the legs.
You kind of want to see how he's going to be able to do against this person. Against this person. Yeah.
Like Sean Strickland wins with like a jab and constant forward pressure.
He has the weirdest
His stance is straight up. And
his
this is
knees do not bend 1 inch.
This is an interesting thing because I think part of the reason he does so well is because of his wrestling. And be like, well, he doesn't use any wrestling. He has supreme confidence in not getting taken down because he's standing straight up. He's square with him, no bend in his legs whatsoever. And he must not have any fear at all or any possibility of getting taken down. I've never seen him get taken down either.
And if people are fighting him, they're thinking like, oh, he stands straight up, go take him down. But it doesn't really happen.
I don't understand how that doesn't happen, but he must have just absolutely impeccable takedown defense.
And he has he gets hit and doesn't really, it doesn't affect him. Dude. It doesn't affect him at all.
Goes forward.
I mean, you have to be tough to do like his style where his head does not move at all.
No
it's
footwork.
Right there. He stands stiff as a board. It's so weird. You're looking at him like, oh my God. Like when you see the first couple seconds you watch him fight, you're like, oh, he's striking sucks. It's terrible. But it's so you effective. Can't say that because it's effective. Yeah. It's like the weirdest thing when you see him. Like if I tried to fight like that, I feel like I would either just get taken down in 1 second or I would just like keeping my head up, my chin up and head there, I would just get blasted. Yeah.
It's You'd get taken down.
And he's going against high level guys. So it's so interesting. I don't understand how his style works, but it does.
But that's what I like about it. Like another example of that would be I always like to watch Paul Craig fight.
Yes.
Because Paul Craig.
And people will be like, oh, he's so, I'm like, not really. I mean, like for only having like kind of one skill set.
He's beaten the best guys in the world with basically like we were just talking about closed guard.
People
triangles.
know what he's going to do and it still works.
He does closed guard off his back. He'll like shoot a shot and fall on his back and then throw up a triangle. Like I like watching fighters that have like a creative way to win because that is sort of like a blast from the past. Like that was like
the style matchups.
Something in like the late 90s, early 2000s where you have the specialists. Sean Strickland is kind of like that. He only shows he's actually using his wrestling. By that I mean takedown defense.
Right.
But he wins with a jab and forward pressure.
And he got a couple takedowns.
Yeah, I guess he did this fight,
but takedowns.
Usually he doesn't.
And it is impressive because he took the fight on like a couple days notice. So
I think he spars like all day, every day, like every day.
I mean,
workouts.
But still, it's different. It's
different, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I train all the time, whether I'm in camp or not, and I have good cardio, but it's a lot different.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But when you take it on that short notice, do you think there's like he was like 4 or 5 days? Do you think there's part of it that where you're not thinking about it every second of every day for 8 weeks?
There's less pressure.
I think that some of that is less pressure. Where you're like, no, I'm fresh. I'm just going to go.
Going into the fight, one, you're making extra money, like way extra money. So that helps. Yeah. Two, you know in the back of your head, like, oh, well, even if this person kind of like, messes me up, I have the excuse that I took it on 4 days notice. It's not the same as if both of you had a full camp.
Yeah.
So I think having that pressure, that less pressure on you, you're able to just kind of perform a little bit better.
Yeah, I think you're right. But so that was a good card. The other big news in the UFC, Francis Ngannou is officially off the roster. What are your thoughts?
I don't really care. I mean, I just feel like in my mind, not that I don't care, it'd be cool to see him still fight, but like it's been so long and I feel like he wasn't fighting that often. So in my mind, it felt like he's been out of the UFC since his last fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I look at it.
People are shocked. I'm like, I mean, I'm not that shocked. If he was going to get re-signed, it probably would have happened
right
like the week after his last fight.
I look at it like, I mean, he obviously didn't want to get re-signed.
Yeah.
Because apparently the offer that they made him would have made him the highest paid UFC heavyweight of all time,
Mm-hmm.
more than Brock Lesnar, which he deserves, because now you'd think like today should be paid a lot more than 10 years ago when Brock
Right.
Lesnar was fighting. So he would have been the highest paid. And it's just so funny how people are so confused by, they think that he's like starving. Like I've heard people say, like, yeah, I wonder, he probably would have made, I don't know what his like fight purse necessarily, but I would say for title fights, he would make like probably his new contract, like $10 million.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't shock
something
me.
like that. At least 7 million.
Yeah,
But people
7
think
is
he
a-
gets paid like
400,000.
400,000. I've seen a lot of people are like, well, he only gets paid 400,000 or
People are
600. I'm like,
confused.
no,
When you
that's
see
their memes.
Yeah, when you see a meme after a UFC pay-per-view and it has the grid of 4 fighters
Yes.
on the main card and it says how much they pay, that's not what they get paid. First of all, I've seen it with mine and it's nothing compared to what I get paid. And I don't even have pay-per-view
Right.
buys. Pay-per-view buys are way more than your purse.
Yes.
You know? And you get like main event bonuses, just Dana giving
Championship contract.
championship contracts, all this other stuff. Like people that believe that, because I've literally seen, like I said, I don't have any, like mine's just my fight
Right.
regular contract pay, and I've seen it where mine comes up and I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. That's not even like numbers that anyone would get paid, because it kind of goes
Right.
in increments of 3,
Yeah,
you start
yeah.
it. So I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. I don't know how fighters come up with it.
Yeah,
I think
those are
like
like
one time
memes.
I fought and like my mom was like, is that how much you get paid? She thought I was like hurting. I was like, no, definitely not. I mean, and that's for me. So I know for them,
Right.
the pay-per-view buys are where the money's at. And to think that like Francis Ngannou is getting paid $400,000 to fight is just insane.
It's crazy, but it's just goes to show like the memes and the media, like, because they're trying to say like, oh, the fighter pay.
Well, that's
fighter
like
pay,
everyone
fighter pay.
loves to say. People are like, "Oh, fighters don't get paid enough." It's like, do you know how much they get paid? No.
Right.
Okay, so how do you know they don't get paid enough?
Like
Why are they still doing it?
the champions of every weight class are making, they're not making $30 million like Canelo or $50 million like
Right.
Floyd, but I would think he'd be in the range of between even $5 to $7 million, I
Mhm.
would think. So I think what he might be thinking is, I'll fight Tyson Fury
Right.
and get paid maybe 30 million. So for that,
Which could
it makes
happen.
sense, because does he have 6 fights or 5 fights at $6 million? He'd have to go 6 more fights to equal that.
Or you could
Then
just
it
do
makes
one
sense.
or you could just do one boxing fight potentially.
One boxing fight, and even if he gets destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
he still gets the 30 million or whatever it is. 30. I mean, that's
The only
a lot.
risk with that is
But then that would be it.
the only risk is it going to happen?
I would think
I would
that they
think
could make it
so.
happen. The only thing is, like, to me, the appeal of him fighting Tyson Fury would be like the boxing world champion versus the UFC world champion. Like, that seems cool. But if it's the boxing world champion versus this guy in the PFL, to me, that doesn't sound as cool.
Mm-mm.
I think having the UFC heavyweight
Well, him
title
going, if he were to fight,
attached-
he has that pretty much.
not really though, because you're not. I mean, he's just not.
I mean, but for the common fans, they don't even know. They think that he does.
Yeah, but I think like with
It's
the
not
UFC,
like he's like Ben Askren fighting
Right,
Jake Paul.
right.
Like Francis Ngannou is different. You
but
know?
I think the reason like Floyd and Connor, obviously they're both mega stars, but having the UFC promote goes a long way.
yes,
That's
yeah.
how you get
Oh,
those crazy
I agree with that. With
pay-per-views.
having them to help promote,
Yeah,
right? But other than that, I mean, I think in the public eye, they consider Francis like, oh, heavyweight champ.
yeah.
I think so.
I think if he's
He's
trying to,
considered more like prestige than but then almost even Connor, because Connor champ when he fought.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, but he had the promotion with the.
yeah,
I kind of always forget that when he fought Floyd, he was like had the whole
Yeah.
UFC there. That was
Yeah.
yeah, and that is a big deal. But
Huge.
also Floyd is a bigger deal too. But Floyd
Floyd is a big deal,
and especially then that was like
Yeah.
his, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're comparing those two to like Jake Paul, Ben Askren. I mean, that was a big deal too, but
Yeah.
it's not going to be like that.
No. Tyson Fury is mega
Yes.
star.
Yeah.
But not like
But
Floyd.
also like Francis Ngannou is mega star.
Yeah. No, for sure. But
I think he'll be all right.
If that fight happens, then yeah, I think, well, yeah, you kind of have to get that sure thing. $30 million. That's crazy.
And
But to go fight in like Bellator, like
no,
how much could they pay
I think if
him?
he's not fighting the UFC, everyone's putting up, oh, Bare Knuckle wants to talk to him. I don't see Francis. Because like how much is Bare Knuckle going to pay him? Just a little, like I don't know, maybe, but I think if Francis didn't sign the deal with UFC, then he has and I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think that he's in talks with a boxing fight that could be a lot more. I don't think he's like playing with the idea of going to Bellator or Bare Knuckle for like 1 or 2 million more a fight.
Yeah, probably not.
That's for like a different type of fighter.
Yeah. But I just always think it's funny. Like, well, of course he's leaving. He only gets paid $400,000 and he's the heavyweight champion. Like, stop.
Yeah.
Like Nate Diaz is another one. Like
yeah.
that. He gets paid. These guys get paid millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. Yeah.
They're doing all right.
They're doing all right. But not 30 million.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Boxing, Canelo Alvarez, those high level boxers,
Yes.
they definitely make more than UFC
Yes.
fighters. But yeah, take that for what it's worth. Then they's had last UFC thing, John Jones, Ciryl Gane set.
Yeah.
Early predictions.
I mean, John Jones.
I think that John Jones is like gonna murder him.
Yeah.
Like, because he got taken down like 3 or 4 times by Francis.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know?
Yeah.
I think John Jones will maybe get hit a couple times on his feet and be like, fuck this, and take him down and TKO him with elbows from out.
I mean, I would imagine
John Jones grappling is like the
I would
best
imagine
in the
he's
UFC.
going to be a decent heavy favorite.
No, he came in as an underdog.
No,
right
he
now.
did not.
Early line, he was underdog.
Stop
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I might get back into betting for that. Because I think John Jones is maybe like the best grappler in the UFC.
Yeah.
Because his finishing ability, he submits people, he could get to mount dominant positions.
And people could be like, oh, well, he hasn't fought in so long, but I don't think that matters for him
No.
because when he was doing good, he probably wasn't training that hard
Yeah,
anyway. I think he's just so naturally talented too. I mean, he does train, but I don't think that time off for him matters
No.
at all.
Like he was taking DC down like easily.
Yeah.
Like throwing
Like
DC
tossing
around.
him over his shoulder. Yeah.
Throwing him around. So
Yeah.
I think he's going to take Ciryl Gane down pretty easily.
Yeah, I
But
think
Ciryl Gane is absolutely incredible, but I think
And he's strong.
stylistically,
Huge.
but he's not like a one punch knockout guy.
Mm-hmm.
Where Francis, like, I think John would beat
Yeah.
Francis too, but Francis you would never bet against because
Because
if
there's
he just
always
touches
anything
you-
he throws,
Right.
there's that chance of him getting knocked out.
yeah. So I think stylistically, it's an easier fight for John, and he'll be the champ again.
Yeah.
I would think.
Which I'm excited for.
Yeah. So, what else?
Oh, we watched the Hatchet show.
Oh yeah,
What was it? The
Kai,
the hitchhiker hatchet murderer? I'm butchering it.
the guy, smash.
Smash.
Do you know that guy, Zain?
Are you guys asking me about a TV show?
No, he was like one of the early YouTube videos that went like viral, like crazy viral.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see that? He's like a homeless, like
Does he have like
surfer.
a bandana?
yeah,
Yes.
bandana,
Yeah.
yeah. So he like rescued this lady who was, the guy was like ran someone over and then he was hitchhiking. It was a very confusing story, but then the guy ran somebody over, a driver. Then he got out of the car and was like choking this lady. And then Kai got out of his car and like smashed him over the head 3 times with a hatchet. And he saved the lady.
And they did an interview with him, and he was so like charismatic, and they're like, he's a hero, and he was homeless,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, well, yeah, he's a hero, but he also like bashed the guy over the head with a hammer like pretty comfortably, and he was just like,
It was so like carefree about it, but it went like insanely viral. And he was like on Jimmy Kimmel, like huge,
Mm-hmm.
but he was totally insane. And within 3 weeks of that video,
3 months.
3 months of that video, then he murdered someone in New Jersey. Same thing, but he said, then he tried to say, well, he was raping me. He's like, always uses like vigilante as like his excuse.
Mm-hmm.
But he's
So you don't really know.
yeah, you
'cause-
don't know. Maybe he did get raped, but like 2 or 3 times he referenced like he was in the orchard and the kids were getting molested. Then he beat the guy's teeth.
Yes, yeah.
Then he got raped a bunch of times and like beat these people up. But he was always using.
But the
like-
way he's out of his mind, you don't know if it's true or not. But I mean, even
But
if
now he's doing like life in prison.
57 years.
57 years.
57.
Yeah.
Jesus
So not
Christ.
like.
It was like one. It was nice. I like the documentaries too when it was like an hour and a half, not like a.
I love
whole-
those documentaries.
So good.
Yeah. But that's a fun one if you guys are looking for something
can-
to watch on Netflix. The hatchet yielding hitchhiker. Kai.
Yeah, that's not what it's called, but something.
Yeah, it is.
Yielding.
Yes.
I thought it was hitchhiker. Wait,
No,
hitchhiker.
the hatchet yielding hitchhiker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Just type in hitchhiker, you'll find
Or
it.
Kai.
Yeah, it's like the
Kai.
number one trending thing on
Yeah,
Netflix.
but it was good. So we got some fan questions. What's it called, Zane?
The hatchet wielding.
Wielding. Yielding, wielding.
Either one, I didn't know.
Yeah. So we got some fan questions.
Okay.
One of them was is OnlyFans in your future?
People ask me this all the time. It's like the number one question I get asked. If I like post a picture of myself on my story, they're like, "When's the OnlyFans coming?"
Well,
I don't. Not really. Like, I would if I had an idea of how much I would make. Maybe
you don't know until you do it.
But the thing is, like, I know some girls do it and don't post like
Just what about just feet?
titty pics. I mean, I would post. I guess I would. Some girls, and the thing is, too, a lot of like girls say they post their feet and they make all this money, but you never really know. Of course, no one's gonna do it and be like, "Oh, I make $30 a month."
Right.
Like, of course, everyone's gonna say they make so much money. I would post pictures of my feet. The thing is, I just don't know. Like, I wouldn't want to have to talk to people.
I think that's a big thing.
And I think you have
Yeah.
to be engaged with them and talk to them. And I think
Yeah.
girls are more willing to talk to people on there because they're getting paid.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if I have that in me. I feel like I would start it and then after like a week not go on it. I don't know if I would be.
Let's start it and just make the price like insane and just see who signs up.
Yeah, I think that's what I've seen people do.
Yeah.
What if it would
I
be
think
funny
that-
if Zayn took the pictures and you were like posing your feet and you were like zooming in with a nice camera. You were doing real tasteful.
Let's do
There's
it.
some
I mean,
like I've seen a lot of girls do it too, and then I've seen Paige Van Zandt do it before, where it's like some people like the dirty feet.
oh.
So like when like people walk like their feet are dirty, because there was like one picture she posted, and she definitely I mean I don't know how much, but she definitely makes a lot of money. I mean she does like
definitely.
professional photo shoots like every
No,
week.
definitely.
But
definitely.
obviously she's but there's other people that like girls start it that have no following and they make and there
Right,
might be
that's crazy.
and like also they'll have no following and they're like average looking. You know what I mean? They're not like
I think like you said, like a lot of guys probably want just to text with someone.
Yeah.
If you could like get people, that's kind of like becomes addicting. Like
mhm.
good morning, and they
And I
send
think-
like good morning text.
Yeah, it doesn't
and-
have to be like they're like the persona. Like everyone kind of thinks like, oh, OnlyFans. I think if you think a girl has an OnlyFans and you're like she's a slut, I think that's very close minded. I think there's
nothing. No,
I think there
yeah.
are a lot of girls that do it and don't like post anything, or maybe don't even talk. Like maybe they talk to guys, but they're not like sexual and stuff. So like I don't judge it at all. I almost
Not at
wish
all.
I was like willing to do it because I probably could make money, but I just like I'm just honestly lazy.
I think part of it's too like, which is so stupid to think like this, but part of it's like you don't want to come across as like
desperate. Yes.
which is stupid though, because it's like
Who cares? I don't.
everything counts. Like no matter how much money you make, like I still teach wrestling privates,
Mhm.
like because I like to do it, and why not make a little extra money?
Yeah.
Right. So no matter how much money you make,
hmm
you're not. It's not desperate to do something else, to do
Right.
something more. But for whatever reason, I always think like, I wouldn't want you to do that. Then people would think we're like broke. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
But you shouldn't think like that,
Who
because you
ca-
could be making millions of dollars, and then why not make an extra few grand a month?
Yeah,
Like,
I definitely go back and forth with the thought process where I'm like, oh, I don't know if there's like, I don't really post like, I don't post any like sexual stuff like that on my page, and I kind of like that I don't, because one, it's just not me, it's not my personality. But also like, I don't know, it is kind of cool to see like have a following and like not have to post that, if you know, but if you want to, that's cool too. I have some
Yeah.
friends that post like extremely sexual stuff,
no, I think it's
and
good.
to me, we're like the same, like, you know what
Of
I mean?
course.
It's not anything different, but I think it is kind of cool that, like, you know, I always just think, I'm like, well, what if like young girls are looking at mine? Like it seems like every young girl or every girl on Instagram or social media is just posting like super sexual stuff. So like, I don't know. I think it is, in a way, I'm like, I think it's kind of like a flex that I have like a following and I don't post that.
Yeah.
But, and it's kind of cool, like, that there is someone, like, young girls could see that.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that there's anything wrong with it. So, and I don't
I
care.
definitely don't think there's
And I
anything wrong
don't
with
care
it.
what people think, you know. So I kind of go back and forth. But I don't know. I just like, yeah, same thing. I wouldn't want people to think like, oh, you're desperate for money. I
Right.
mean, OnlyFans has like reached out to me to sign up, and they were gonna pay me a lot of money to just make an account. And I was like, I didn't need one follower.
That's wild.
They
that
were
they're
going
doing
to
that. They're
pay.
trying hard.
Because what they did recently, and you'll see a lot of fighters.
Gary Tonin.
Yeah, a lot of fighters over like the last 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, have joined OnlyFans, because OnlyFans was trying to rebrand themselves to not be, to have the stigma of it's just sexual content.
Right.
They wanted people like fighters and athletes and other people to use it kind of like a Patreon.
Like a Patreon, yeah.
Where, okay, I post training techniques, training stuff, like even like they've like marketed it to me like, oh, you can post like your cooking videos, basically like stuff you don't post on, you know, content you don't post on Instagram that you could post on there. You could even do like go live on there and just do like stuff on there. So they were signed, so they paid a lot of fighters, I know, like just like a sign-on fee. There's a flat rate, doesn't matter how many people you get, and then do that.
Yeah, that's great.
So like, but even they offer me that, and I was like, no. But I said no, and like I still like kind of go back and forth. I'm like, should I do it? I don't know, because I'm like, even if I just did it for a couple months, had no followers, and then whatever, I just got that. It's kind of like turning down free money, but
yeah, definitely.
I don't know. It's weird. I feel like so many girls have it, and I don't care.
Yeah, you definitely should not care, but
yeah,
it's something to think about. The next question was also kind of foot related. They said,
obviously.
have all of the foot questions gaslighted Kyle into having the same fetish? So by that, they're saying like, if they like the feet, they're
like, yeah, you see that
I should like
everyone's,
the feet.
yeah.
Well,
you never
no,
really had.
I wish that was the case, but no, I don't understand the foot fetish.
You like my feet?
I like them, but I don't really understand like the foot fetish. I think that it's just something that people are like just obviously like almost born with, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really understand it. I don't not like your feet, but it doesn't I don't get excited about feet. You know what's
crazy is like we knew like one person that we're friends with, we found out that they have a foot fetish.
Right.
And it's like, so I knew that they had one, and they've like come over to our house in the summer and stuff. So I know before they come over, I'm like, then I almost like treat them differently. And I'm like, yeah,
you wear sneakers.
At least in this, it'll be like 100 degrees out. They come over. If we were like in and out of the house, I'm like barefoot. I'm always wearing socks in front of this person. But even socks, I'm like, oh, they're probably staring at them. Like,
yeah.
And I'm like a little uncomfortable if we've gone out and I'm like wearing sandals and I know they're gonna be there. I change it just because it's like it's uncomfortable. Which obviously,
we don't really see them a whole lot.
No, but I mean, for when I found out, you know, I felt like we were. But I feel like that's something like you wear sandals out in the summer. You know, I know because of the DMs that I get.
So many.
There's so many people that have foot fetish. So you think it's not just like, oh, it's a weirdo. Like if you're going out to a restaurant, a busy restaurant, someone in in that restaurant has
Of
like,
course.
at least,
Yeah.
so, but when it's someone it's like gross because then you're like,
It's
ew.
like being left-handed.
Yeah.
Like about the same amount of people probably.
But I will say, I think since OnlyFans has become more popular, I feel like I get a little less DMs about feet.
Oh yeah, they
because
get their
I think
fix.
OnlyFans is huge for the foot
community.
fetish. Yeah.
Well, I think I don't understand that. Like, isn't there enough like foot porn? Like,
but I think
I think they want to know.
Well,
the
there's
person,
real. I mean, you could say that. Why are
right?
girls on OnlyFans? You could. Why?
Well, that's
would
why
you,
I think it's more interaction than
yeah.
the pictures.
Like, why would you pay? Why would any guy pay for OnlyFans when you can get free porn? It's like, well, no, they feel like they're talking to the girl and they feel like they're getting the picture for them. It's like, oh, they're sending me the picture.
Right.
That's why you pay for it. You feel like you kind of know them. Like, otherwise, because OnlyFans, like, you know what I mean? I've like known guys at the gym that have OnlyFans and I'm like, or like that pay for OnlyFans. I'm like, you can just get free porn for for someone that's like way hotter, like way more like that's like a real porn star, but they're like, yeah, but I know them.
That's
or I know of them.
And they know you.
Yes.
They think. Even probably more so. They know you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
no.
Yeah, no, the gaslighting didn't really work for me. I don't think that gaslight, I would be impossible to get gaslit, I think. I mean, I don't think it would work on me. We watched a movie last night. And it was about a guy who lied to a girl. What was it called? It was really good.
Good on paper.
Good on paper, yeah. And the guy like lies to the girl. He says he's like a Harvard graduate and hedge fund manager, and he was just a loser. But like to me, it's like, how that's so obvious.
That would never work.
Never
on me.
work for
never,
me.
Ever. But first of all, like even like I think like everyone's full of shit. So.
But there's so many shows
they
like
were
that.
dating. It wasn't like the first. Yeah.
Like Bad Vegan.
Yes.
The girl gave millions of dollars to this guy.
Like
who's
these
a total
pathetic
loser.
girls that are like
how are you falling for that? Or the Tinder swindler. Those girls were buying them.
But I think that there's more to it. It's like, oh, how dumb could you be? I think they're just so like, it's almost sad and pathetic, and they just don't care, and they like have this blinder up because they just want it to be true so bad that they ignore everything. It's almost like a mental disorder.
Yeah, but it seems like
and some girls would rather be with a liar than be alone, which is a huge thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like even like growing up, like I never had a problem like being like single and stuff, and like, but I knew a lot of my friends that are like would date, especially when you're younger, and like guys and girls, both of them are. No one's like good at being in a relationship, and it's like, but I know so many people that girls especially that would be with a guy and they just didn't want to be alone, and I'm like, that's so sad.
It is sad.
Yeah,
it is sad. But even like the people who get scammed out of like giving money, like your electric bill's done, you have to send whatever to
I don't feel bad for those people.
Yeah, I don't really
be
either.
Smarter.
But I don't feel bad for me either.
I don't feel bad.
I think it's impossible for
unless
that to
there's
ever
like an
happen
old
to me
person.
Because, and it's probably bad how I think too, because I don't believe anything.
Yeah,
I don't believe anything anyone says.
I'm more on your side, and I think there is some truth to that, where it's not good to totally.
That's not
be
good
like,
either.
But I'd rather be that than getting scammed all the time.
But you can't really fool me.
No,
because it's just
already a little.
You're not fooling
skeptical.
me. Yeah. Last question. Someone asked. I guess this is maybe a trend or something, because I've been seeing this. Death row meal.
Ooh. Okay. All right. This is gonna put on the spot a little. I would say probably your skirt steak with chimichurri. Like a cookie skillet with vanilla ice cream and espresso martini.
Wow, that's nice. How about
I'm trying
you,
to think
Zain?
if I can get an appetizer in there, but I don't.
I would do
halal.
No, I hate halal.
I like halal.
Like I can't have halal as a death row meal.
You would definitely have cheesecake.
I would have like a Adam's peanut butter ripple and fudge cheesecake.
What is it?
Adam's peanut butter ripple and fudge.
That's good.
It's the one I got when. Oh no, they didn't have that one when we went out.
Yeah,
they had the Oreo one. That one's pretty good too.
But cheesecake.
Just the whole cheesecake?
No, not just the cheesecake.
That's dessert.
I would do that. I would do burgers.
Yeah,
Like
you're
I
burger.
a big
From
burger
where?
guy. Smashed in the city.
Okay.
Smashed NYC. It has to have blue cheese on it. That's the major key.
Really?
Yeah. I would do one of those like Mexican Cokes because I'm like a big fan of sugar. That's why I hate drinking, I think. Like I like soda so much better. It's like a
Okay.
terrible. And then I think
I
as a
feel like I
side-
should still get an appetizer or side in there. but-
Honestly, I would just do like a whole like jug of the chimichurri you gave me, and that'd just be
Really?
my
Damn,
side.
your chimichurri's on 2 death row meals.
Wow, that's crazy.
What's yours?
Well, the death row meal, you have to eat it by yourself, right? You don't get to like spend it with someone, right?
No, it's not a date.
That's
It's
what I
just
mean.
a
You don't
meal.
get that. So I would say, no, you're not patronizing me with a stupid fucking meal. Just kill me. I'm not eating anything.
You don't even want the meal.
I don't want anything. You're not patronizing me with some stupid fucking meal that I eat in a jail cell by myself. If I can't like eat with, like, if I could have like, you there, really just you, and like spend an
Okay, so
evening
pretend
with
I'm
you.
there.
No, I'm not.
Okay, pretend
My
I'm
death row
there.
meal would be fuck you, just kill me. I'm not eating anything. That's what
I
I'd
ain't
say.
eating.
That's what I would do.
Okay, but what if I was there?
If you were there, well, I'd like to like make it myself. if I
Okay,
had
that's
to.
fine.
So I'd like to do like a good shrimp cocktail, scallops,
You're
make
just,
a good steak,
you're just describing our Saturday night
Yeah.
dinner.
and then Sally's pizza.
Oh, yeah.
And-
Yeah, you have that pizza in
And
there.
that's it. But it's shrimp, scallops, a nice ribeye, and then a Sally's pizza.
No dessert?
Um,
Something to give you one last tummy ache before you
no,
go?
no dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah, no dessert.
You don't want any accidents when you get the electric chair.
No, no dessert.
No dessert.
I don't think so.
You're
I would
nasty.
probably just get dessert.
If I honestly,
Me and Zain.
yeah, I would be down for just dessert.
But I'm not doing that. I'm not eating it by myself in a cell. Oh, this is your last meal.
Well, what if you get to
hope
watch?
you like it?
What if you get
Fuck
to watch
you.
whatever you want? You get to like put on whatever TV show you want.
What drink? An espresso?
Probably espresso. Yeah. At least after.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys love espresso.
No, but
After espresso after you eat.
I don't know why. Is that really a tradition? The last meal, or is that
They
just
d-
something people say? That's real.
I think that, I assume it is, but maybe it's a myth. But no, I assume that's a.
Yeah, I'm not eating anything.
All right.
I think it was a thing for a while, and then they restricted it after somebody tried to like order something so they could like kill themselves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like
oh, like
something
you're
they were
allergic to peanut butter and
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But who cares?
That's kind of cool. I would
But
like
who
to
cares?
do that too.
Who cares though? If
Yeah,
you die,
right.
like let them have peanut butter and then die, and then you don't have to do
People
it.
would care. They'd be like, that's not fair. He killed himself. Just like Epstein.
Yeah.
Like, he killed himself.
They were, like, mad.
We wanted him
We
to go
wanted
to
to
jail.
kill
Well, he's
him.
dead. Isn't dead better than jail?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right?
I
He
think
probably
so.
wasn't going to get the death penalty.
No.
So this is kind of better.
Yeah.
Why were people so bummed that he killed himself?
I guess because they wanted.
They wanted
it-
the information.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, they got the information from his girl, and they didn't
Well,
even use it.
They got the information from her and the logs, but they keep it
Well,
confined.
so
anyway.
what's the difference?
Nothing.
Let the guy kill himself with some dignity.
Yeah.
If you're not going to use the information anyway.
I'll get.
All right. Anything else? Purple belt Zain.
Purple belt Kyle, black belt Caitlin.
Must be nice.
Yep. Well,
Well-
that's all we got for this week, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
listening.